Documents Volume 9 covers the winter months, December 1841 through April 1842. And we notice a pattern in the winters in Nauvoo in terms of record keeping. While people are not busy clearing trees and land and planting crops, we see a lot of organizational development in these winters. Joseph Smith is involved personally in the creation formally of a Nauvoo Masonic Lodge. He's also involved in the creation of the Female Relief Society of Nauvoo. I think that this volume, perhaps more than others in the past, shows a real breadth to Joseph's personal activities. Toward the end of his life, 2 years before his death, we see a fully matured and fleshed out Joseph, a businessman, a father, a man. We look at Joseph wearing all of these different hats, and I think that rather than saying something about his character that he felt a need for control or authority, that it demonstrates his feeling of responsibility to his people and his community. And I think that when readers read Documents Volume 9 and look at the myriad activities that Joseph's involved with, both within the church, the community, civically, that they're going to see a Joseph who feels a real burden of responsibility and accountability to his people. One of the fascinating things about Nauvoo documents is that so many of them were preserved when the saints moved west. For instance, I can't think of another situation in American history where you have an entire city, essentially, of course, some saints stayed, but where an entire city gets up and moves hundreds of miles away and takes with them the municipal records of that city. There is one document in this volume that stands out to me as kind of demonstrative of Joseph Smith's personality to a level that we don't normally pick up. He writes a letter to a man named Edward Hunter, a member of the church back east in New York. In fact, Edward Hunter is kind of responsible for setting up the store because he was the one who acted as an agent for the church in acquiring the goods that have stocked the store. But Joseph writes a letter to Edward Hunter the night of the store opening. He writes to Hunter that he says that he's been serving as a clerk all day in this store, as steady as any clerk you ever saw, he says. And he says, dealing out to the saints who had been forced or compelled to go without their Christmas and New Year's dinners for, he writes, want of molasses or sugar or raisins, et cetera, et cetera. And he says that it's his joy to wait upon and serve the saints in general, and that he writes how joyful this experience has been of acting as a store clerk, standing behind the counter as his members and his followers have come in to acquire stuff that they had not been able to have for months. And it gives just kind of a little demonstration of his love for his people, I think.